don't get me wrong, these new minimum rates here in Minnesota are a good thing and it's a win for drivers, but there are a few things that are not ideal. Let's discuss. So again, I am not complaining. These new minimum rates here in Minnesota are a good thing for drivers. We are being compensated more properly for our actual time. And again, really quickly, the new minimum rate guarantees here in Minnesota are for period 3 when you're transporting a passenger, and those guarantees are getting paid at least $1.28 per mile and 31 cents per minute. Again, when transporting a passenger during period 3. Period 2 pickup mileage is not included. And how we have it structured here is that not all rides are priced to those minimum amounts. You'll have some longer rides that are not priced nearly what they should be under the new minimum rates. And what Uber and Lyft do is over a 2-week period, they'll calculate top-off payments. They'll take our total mileage and total time in period 3 when transporting a passenger, multiply that by the minimum rates, and if we haven't reached that amount of earnings, they will send us top-off payments. So the first thing that I don't really like is the structure with the top-off payments. Those shouldn't be necessary at all. We should be paid properly for every single ride. Every single ride should be priced properly. By having this top-off payment structure, Uber and Lyft don't have to pay us properly for every single ride, and they can sit on that money for 2 weeks. They don't have to give it to us for 2 weeks. What I have noticed though with Lyft after the initial 2-week period back in December is they are pricing their rides properly. My second top-off payment with Lyft was nearly nothing. Now Uber on the other hand, especially on those longer rides, they're not pricing those properly. So there is a necessity for those top-off payments. My first top-off payment with Uber was almost $115, and my second top-off payment was just over $100, right in line with that first top-off payment. So receiving these top-off payments is obviously better than not receiving them at all, but pricing the rides properly like Lyft has been is the ideal situation. And the second thing that I don't like is when calculating our earnings for our top-off payment, they'll include wait time, cancellation, turbo, surge bonuses. I'm assuming they'll include Quest and Ride Challenge bonus earnings as well. The only exceptions are tips. They don't include tips. Tips are 100% ours, and also referral bonuses. They won't include that in the earnings calculation. But wait time. When I arrive at a passenger's pickup location and they make me wait, that's being included in my earnings to calculate my top-off payment. So the more that I wait, the more that my earnings get closer to that minimum earnings guarantee. And this minimum earnings guarantee is not during period 2. It's only during period 3. So those period 2 wait time earnings are at the detriment of the period 3 guaranteed earnings. I've obviously never liked to wait for passengers, but now I'm a lot more incentivized to try and get them out sooner. So I'll try and contact them. I'll actually call them after a couple minutes to see if they're coming out to the curb, and I wouldn't do that in the past. Also with cancellation pay. Say before a cancellation, I had accepted a 20+ mile ride on Uber and it should have paid me about $15 more. But on the next ride, say I have a cancellation, those cancellation earnings will basically pull from that top-off payment. It will reduce the payment for that longer ride. So I could look at this as an advance on my top-off payment, but I prefer not to have those cancellations at all and just get paid that top-off payment. And again, in terms of wait time and cancellations, I'm a lot more incentivized now to get the passenger out to the curb and also to contact the passenger to make sure I don't have to make a cancellation. Also, turbo and surge bonuses, so per ride bonuses, are included in the calculation for the minimum earnings guarantee. So here's a situation. Say on Uber, I get a request midday on a Monday right at noon. It's a 20+ mile request to the airport. It's probably not going to be priced properly, but I know I'm going to get paid really well with that ride with the top-off payment. And if a driver on Friday night at say 7 o'clock gets that exact same request and there's surge attached to it, say like a $10 surge attached to it, the only difference between me accepting the ride on Monday at noon and them accepting the ride on Friday at 7 p.m. is that they're getting their money a lot sooner than I would get mine, but it doesn't incentivize them to drive during those peak times if someone's going to get compensated the same on a Monday afternoon versus a Friday evening. But unless surge is absolutely insane, like 2 or 3x, it's not doing what its primary purpose is, which is incentivizing drivers to come out on the road during peak times. Also with Quest and Ride Challenge bonuses. I personally haven't seen a Quest in months, but I have seen weekly Ride Challenge bonuses on Lyft, especially for the weekend. And what they could do is incentivize you with that carrot of a bonus, but they could also play with the upfront fares, where with the minimum earnings guarantees, they might have to pay you a top-off payment anyways, so that Ride Challenge bonus might be completely negligible depending on how they're pricing rides. Alright, and the final thing that I don't like is that in the minimum earnings guarantee, period 2 pickup mileage is not included. It's only period 3 when you're transporting a passenger. In my opinion, under upfront pricing, drivers should be compensated for every single mile, both pickup mileage and on-trip mileage. Now, because this period 2 mileage is not included in the guarantee, this is a pretty simple strategy. You want short pickups. And luckily, I'd say about 80% of my requests do have short pickup distances of less than 1.5 miles. Again, it would be nice if that period 2 pickup mileage was included in the minimum earnings guarantees, but luckily, since most pickups have been shorter, it's not a huge issue, just a slight drawback. So overall, those are the things that I don't like. Again, I am not complaining. I'm sure a lot of you in other markets would like to have these small issues compared to the dirt cheap rates that you're seeing. Again, these new minimum rates are a win for drivers in Minnesota. Earnings are up overall, but the way that we've structured it here could be a lesson for markets in the future to learn from us and structure theirs differently. But what do all of you think? What about you other drivers in Minnesota? What are things that I should have pointed out that I didn't point out? If you've yet to download the Solo app to help you manage your rideshare business and earn more, our referral link is in the description. We also have a free newsletter, and the link to sign up for that is in the description as well. If you've yet to watch my previous video on receiving our initial top-off payments here in Minnesota, be sure to check that one out. Thanks again for watching and drive safe. Thanks.